Hello everyone. So once you've downloaded and installed RStudio on your computers, you should find yourself opening it, find yourself seeing something like this. So this is the R IDE. So up here we can have more or less the structure is in 3 panels: the console, the environment with the history, and files, plots, packages. We'll see all of these in a few seconds. So first thing to notice is here in the console we have the R version. Mine is the Sincere Pumpkin Patch, but it's probably not the latest one. So when you download R and install RStudio, you should probably have another version. Then this is where you can find it. So first thing to know about R and RStudio is that it can be used as a basic calculator. So for example, we can go into the console and type in 4 plus 5, get 9, or have these kind of symbols that we'll see during explained throughout the book: 6 to the power 2, which is 36, and other kind of calculations. We can also create variables that can be stored within our R session. So, for example, we can say we want to call something D, and we say it's we assign it the values 1 to 15. And once we click OK or Enter, then what we have is we've stored this value, and this value appears in the environment screen. So within the environment we're working in, we have this variable called D, and its value is stored here. And so we can monitor all the values and variables we create throughout our R session. To see it, we can either click on here, or we can also just type in D, and we'll get the variable, which is a vector from 1 to 15. So now we will focus on briefly on this panel where we see files. So this part will show all the files that are included or in our working directory, which is where our R session is going to look for all the files and data that we were going to be working with. We have the plot section where each time we make a plot with our R code, it'll be affixed here with some exporting options. Packages are all the packages that have been installed on the computer on your R, and you can see all the different packages that you can make use of to carry out your analyses. Help is a very important feature, and for example, if you're ever working with a function and you don't know exactly what its arguments are or how it works or what it does, if that's the case, all that you need to do is go to the console, put a question mark, and say we are interested in the sum function. Well, we just write in sum. We have some options come out, but we're just interested in some, so we just press enter. And here in the help, we see all the details of this function, its arguments, and some references and some examples. And same thing can happen with, let's say, the exponential function. So just like that, and we see another help file. So, and after the help, we see the viewer. So for the moment, it's empty, but this will be an important panel to consider once we start working with R Markdown, which is what is going to be introduced in the next chapter of the book. Another important feature of R and RStudio is the script. So to create a script with RStudio, all you need to do is to go onto this top left-hand button, click on it, and you have a series of options. For the moment, we'll only focus on the first one, our script. Just click on it, and you see something appear here. This is just a simple, plain text file with an extension .r, which is pertinent to the domain of R and RStudio. And here we can, for example, store all our computations and variable creation. So let's say we wanted to store our D variable again. Well, in this case, you see it has some important features highlighting what are numbers, what are variables, and how it's assigned. So color features allow to better use your code later on when your code becomes more complex. As you see, when we type in it in the R script, we have nothing that's executed. So for the moment, D is just something else, a variable that has been defined but has not been executed, so it hasn't been modified within the R environment. And we could create another variable called x, which is, for example, D squared. And so even x does not appear. So we don't, all that we write down in the script is not executed. So to execute it, so if we want to get the results, all we have to do, well, there are a series of options, but for example, on a Mac, which is what I'm using, it's Command Enter on that line, and you see it gets executed in the console down here, and x D squared, and what we get is therefore now you see x appearing in the values, and if you want it to see all of it as well, you can just type it into the console. Okay, so the script actually doesn't execute anything, but it's very important to use in order to save the commands and analysis that you do on a certain data set, and avoids you from rewriting code each time, and hopefully optimizing your code each time, given that you saved the previous one. So once we've written a script with some commands, all we need to do, it's good to save it. So we just click on this save button, give it the name first, our code, and then we can save it wherever we want. I'll put in my documents, and in RStudio, save, and there we are. And so if we go back to the files on this lower right-hand panel, you see that now this appears in my working directory, because my working directory is along this path in RStudio. So this is more or less the introduction to the basics of RStudio. Of course, there's many more features to it, but the next chapter will present how to create more elaborate, so to speak, R scripts, which are called R Markdown documents, where it is possible to create R code as well as some text to go along with it, which is very useful to keep notes for classes that are use R, or even to create reproducible research. So this is all for now. Thank you for listening.